President Trump and administration officials are standing behind Pete Hegseth despite new scrutiny over the defense secretary's usage of the Signal chat app. Here was Vice President Vance earlier today.
Look, I have 100% confidence in the secretary. I know the president does, and really the entire team does. It's one of the most bizarre things about the Hegseth nomination. From the very beginning, the media seemed to want to tank it. And when they failed and they got confirmed, they decided they wanted to keep on that effort to destroy Pete Hegseth.
Let's bring our reporter panel. Molly Ball is a senior political correspondent for the Wall Street Journal, and Patrick Svitek is a politics breaking news reporter for the Washington Post. Great to have you both on today. So, Patrick, let's start there with Pete Hegseth, because Vance is just the latest in a very long string of White House officials, including the president, who are saying he's not going anywhere. Do you think that is going to remain the case?
I think so. It's been a couple of days now, and they've made very clear that they're standing behind him. I mean, what I think is notable here is that they haven't sought to necessarily question or deny this latest report of his use of Signal. They've tried to shift attention to the media coverage of it, or broader media coverage of Pete Hegseth, and talk about or blame alleged leakers within the Pentagon for stirring up this story, but not really denying the actual substance of the story.
Well, he himself hasn't either.
Exactly.
So I wonder why the president is standing so firmly by him. I suppose it's because, Hegseth is a longtime Trump loyalist who Trump handpicked for this role.
That's right. I mean, the various figures in the president's base have been pretty much unanimous in saying that they view Hegseth as a leader of this sort of America First philosophy. And for that reason, the president and people around him just have said they don't want to give the satisfaction to Patrick's point, the fake news media of giving them the scalp, even if they are uncomfortable with some of what's going on at the Pentagon and do view it as a political problem. And, as people from the Pentagon very recently themselves have said, it is a very chaotic atmosphere inside that building with a lot of turmoil. But at this point, at least, the administration has dug in, and they don't want to concede that they see a problem here.
And Hegseth is, of course, only one of many people who the president handpicked because of their fierce commitment to him. And for that reason, I think a lot of people were saying, well, that's why he can do these economic policies like the tariffs that we have seen, because there aren't the Gary Cohns of the world telling him to step back. But the Wall Street Journal just reported that Commerce Secretary Lutnick played a role in sort of scaling back what the president has been saying about firing the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Can you tell us about that?
That's right. And it's funny that you bring up Gary Cohn, because for those who remember the first Trump administration, it is a very similar dynamic where you have people like Peter Navarro on one side really encouraging Trump's longstanding instincts to be in favor of large and longstanding permanent tariffs. On the other hand, you have people who come from Wall Street or who come from a more traditional economic conservative background, whether it's Gary Cohn in the first administration or people like Howard Lutnick and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in this administration, who have been trying as tactfully as they know how to pull the president in the other direction, and particularly on Powell and the Federal Reserve, succeeded in convincing him that the markets would take it very badly if the Fed's traditional independence were violated in the way that the president was really forthrightly threatening to do over the weekend, and then climbed down from and claimed that he never said.
Right. And he never had any intention of firing him. So I want to turn to Congress now, because Senator Dick Durbin just announced that he will not be seeking re-election. And in his remarks, he used a phrase that's becoming very familiar, which is, I'm going to pass the torch to the next generation. Patrick, what do you make of the timing and what else he said in this announcement?
Yeah, I think this decision was pretty widely expected. And as you pointed out, it's coming at this moment where the Democratic Party is grappling with generational change and how to best utilize older people within the party, or people who are becoming more senior. Dick Durbin has served in Congress for decades. He's 80 years old. And so given the moment that we're in, I think it feels natural that that level of scrutiny, has been placed on him. And his announcement almost kind of leaned into that, talking about passing the torch and, implying this is an opportunity for a new generation of leaders to step forward in Illinois. And there's definitely going to be a new generation stepping forward. Yes. We've heard so many names already, at least 3 House Democrats from the state, the lieutenant governor potentially. And so this primary is going to kick off pretty soon and probably be very active.
Well, and then you have in Michigan, Congresswoman Haley Stevens. She just launched her Senate bid to replace the senator there, Gary Peters. And I just want to play a little bit of what she said in her ad campaign.
Across the state, I know we're all feeling the hit of higher prices. The same groceries cost more each month. Housing's more expensive than ever. But all we're getting is more chaos. What the heck are they doing?
So we've heard from a lot of Democrats who are like, it's really not that hard, guys. Just talk about the economy, right? I mean, do you expect that this is going to be a lot of the message that we hear in the next year or two?
I think it will be in the general election, but this is another state that's going to have a very active primary, right? Congresswoman Stevens is not the first Democrat, and she probably won't be the last to get into this race. And when Democrats are fighting with each other, they can't just say, let's bring prices down, because they're all going to be saying that. And so I'm very interested to hear what the sort of fault lines are going to be in all of these Democratic primaries, whether we're going to see an ideological divide between more progressive and more centrist Democrats, whether they're going to make it about fighting the Trump administration, or whether they're going to try to do more of a nuts and bolts message that avoids focusing on Trump. I think all of those are going to tell us a lot about how Democrats are reading this political moment that we're in and how they're trying to forge a comeback for the party that is so down in the dumps right now.
And Michigan's definitely going to be ground zero for this. I mean, it's a state that Trump won last year, and not only as an open Senate race, but also an open governor's race. And so you're going to see candidates on both sides test driving, trying out all new messages, all new kinds of strategies after the last election.
Yes, it's a wide open road there. And I want to just turn to next week, because we all have that date circled for Trump's first 100 days in office. So I wonder what policies that you think he'll really try to hit home as successes, and what, he'll receive criticism for.
Well, I'll take this one. Sure. I am the co-host of a podcast on Trump's first 100 days called Trump 2.0, which you can find in the Journal podcast feed. And, we've been talking a lot about the economy over the course of these first 100 days. I think that's been one of the real surprises of the second Trump term, is that he is not as successful in the view of voters on the economy as he was that first time around. Immigration has become his strongest issue, but obviously still very controversial. And the administration is not achieving the levels of deportations that they would like. And even, you look at something like Doge and Elon Musk. I think that's another area where, on the one hand, it's very surprising. That was not something that was really part of the campaign or the first term. But on the other hand, hasn't really achieved a lot of the goals that Musk set out for it. And now he's looking to depart. So I think you have to wonder sort of what was this all for, and what did it achieve? And I think that around the first 100 days, we're going to hear a lot from the administration about what they believe has been achieved so far and what benchmarks they're still setting.
And I think when assessing the first 100 days, we have to take into account how much of, to the extent he's fulfilled campaign promises, how much of that has been through executive order that has faced scrutiny, either just in the public or in the media, or has been blocked in the courts. And so that seems to be, I think, a key factor as well for this president in the first 100 days.
Yes, and there's no shortage of variations of interpretation of whether a lot of those actions are legal or not. So thank you both so much, Molly Ball and Patrick Svitek, for spending time with us today.